So in today's Vlogmas, I am super excited because I get to do a collaboration with a wonderful friend of mine. You may know who she is. Her name is Jessica Kellgren-Fozard. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but we'll go with that. She is a deaf British YouTuber. She is also someone with chronic pain or chronic illness, and she talks about her life being deaf, chronically ill, having chronic pain. We have similarities in some of those departments. And she also does stuff about like vintage fashion and beauty. She's absolutely beautiful and phenomenal, so I'm very excited to do this video with her today. We are going to talk about hospital horror stories. So that means we went to a hospital once upon a time and we had an absolutely terrible experience and we want to share that. Now because Jessica is my guest, I'm going to allow her to go first so you can learn a little bit about her, and then we're going to move on to me. So without further ado, let's go to Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I am a disabled YouTuber from England. I have two conditions, one of which is a mixed connective tissue disorder and the other is hereditary neuropathy with liability to pressure palsy. Basically what this means is that my connective tissue and my nerves both don't work particularly well. These are inherited conditions that I have in my parents, and they have a range of symptoms from chronic fatigue and chronic pain to making all of my limbs very floppy, and also deafness. It also has cognitive problems like making me very forgetful, etc. and my organs don't always work. So I've had my disabilities all of my life. I've been in hospital many times. Sometimes it's been okay as it can be going into hospital. Sometimes it's been horrific. Generally A&E is the worst place on earth. So A&E is our ER room, the emergency department of the hospital. Because my conditions aren't very common and people generally have to Google them. So the doctor in A&E will be just Googling away, trying to work out what the hell is wrong with me and what to do with me. Of all the times that I have been in though, the story that I am about to tell you is probably the worst. So as I said, I had problems with my organs, and for a few weeks I had been bleeding from bits of you shouldn't bleed from. We'll leave it at that. Bits of your body that blood should not come out of. Then I woke up one morning and just was in the worst pain possibly I have, well no, not the worst pain I've ever felt because boy that was bad. One of the worst pains, definitely. It was a full 10 on the pain scale, a full 10. It wasn't good. So I'm lying there in incredible pain, I'm vomiting continuously, there's nothing I can do, I can't lift my head, I can't really open my eyes and I can't speak. Fortunately, my wife is right next to me in bed. So obviously she calls into work, like, I'm definitely not coming in today. No. But I'm lying there, she's like, please, can we go to a doctor? Can I take you to hospital? I'm like, no, don't, no, oh God, no. Because I hate A&E so much. I hate it. It's the worst place on earth. You go there, you're there for hours, it's always miserable. No. I was like, no, I'm going to fight through this. Never a good idea. I'm going to fight through this and I'm going to feel better. Yes. Yeah. Why would I think that would happen? I don't know. So a full 12 hours later, I'm still in the same position, of course. I literally have not moved from the bed. Still vomiting, still in intense pain. And it's kind of gotten worse. Not by kind of, I mean really has. And it's 7 p.m. at night. And Claudia has spent the day phoning my GP who said, oh yeah, we'll come round. We'll do a house visit to check she's okay. Did they? No. She rang up another 5 times and got the out of hours office who said, oh yeah, we'll arrange for a doctor to phone you. Did they? No. So she finally rings 111, which is our non-emergency medical line. You ring 999 for an ambulance, you ring 111 for medical advice. So she rings 111. They're like, yeah, that does sound pretty bad. Yeah. So you say she hasn't moved in 24 hours. She literally she hasn't got out of the bed. She hasn't moved in 24 hours. All she's done is vomit and lie there in pain. Also, she hasn't been to the toilet. That might be a bad thing. I should add that the incredible pain was not only in my head, but also in my general body area, especially my kidneys, which hurt. And my vomit had kind of turned a funny colour at this point. It was just bile, obviously, but it was a very dark yellow bile. And poor Claude said, okay, well, so the ambulance is coming? Yeah, so you're going to send an ambulance? 111. Yep, we're going to send an ambulance. Definitely. They ring 999, they ring us back. Yep, the ambulance will come. Obviously it's not an emergency, so they'll be there soon. Why is it not an emergency? Oh, because I have a chronic illness. So this is not a difference for me. If I was normally absolutely fine and then was in this position, that would be an emergency. However, since Claudia's told them I have a chronic illness and disability, so this is not, you know, it's happened before-ish, not this bad, but it's happened. They're like, okay, secondary emergency. Okay, fine, don't mind me. So the ambulance finally turns up at 11 p.m. at night, and I've not moved since probably 7 p.m. the day before, and I've not been able to drink anything, obviously, because I've been being sick. I take a lot of prescription medication that I have to take at specific times of day, or else I'm in immense amounts of pain, and, you know, this happens. I spiral down. It's not good. I can't miss any of these pills, but because I haven't been able to hold anything down for over 24 hours, I've not been able to take my pills either. So I'm now feeling the side effects of withdrawal along with whatever the hell is wrong with me. So the ambulance crew turn up, and ambulance people are the best. They are angels in a dark, dark world. I can't sing the praises enough of ambulance people. They are the most fantastic beings. So they turn up, and believe me, I've tried every antiemetic drug under the sun, and not a single one of them has worked. The only thing that stops is IV antiemetic. Antiemetic means it stops you being sick. So, antiemetic, and oh, finally, I can take a sip of water without spewing it everywhere. Oh, delightful. So good. And then they give me some morphine, which is good stuff. It's really good stuff. They're like, oh yeah, this pain is gone. I mean, it's not gone, it's still there, but I don't care. Wow. I'm aware the pain exists. I'm aware the world exists. But I'm so high right now. And they managed to get me out of my house and into the ambulance. Believe me, if I wasn't on the morphine, I'd have been very strongly saying, do not take me out of my house. I don't want to go to A&E. Just give me more drugs here. But unfortunately, when they put a needle in your arm, that means that you then have to go to A&E, which sucks, because believe me, there are so many times I want to call the ambulance and just be like, antiemetic, please? Please don't make me go to A&E. Just put it right in there. Just don't make me go to A&E. I'm fine. I just need to stop being sick. I think by the time we get there, it's probably about midnight, which, since the hospital is 2 streets away from my house, tells you how long it took me to get out of my bed and into that ambulance. So we get to the A&E, and again, still classified now as still not an emergency. Now, late at night, obviously, the staff aren't delighted to have someone there who's not classified as an emergency. They're busy saving lives, you know? People get stabbed, people are having heart attacks, there are other, you know, life-threatening illnesses and injuries going on. I mean, I think mine's pretty bad, but I mean, it's not, you know, I wasn't stabbed or anything. So I understand that. That's fine. I can wait. You've given me the good drugs. I'm lying in my bed. I'm kind of out of it. But the pain is still so bad that I can't actually open my eyes. That might also have something to do with being high, but mainly it's the pain. So I can't open my eyes, which for a deaf person is not great, because how am I supposed to communicate? So lying there, eyes closed, really bad pain enough that I can't move without, I mean, it's okay now, the drugs have made it so I can lie still, and it's okay. If I move though, the pain comes right back and boom, oh, I'm gonna vomit, terrible pain, might pass out. So the doctor comes over, Claudia explains my whole medical condition. Claudia, by the way, has just been sat on the chair next to my hospital bed, playing Candy Crush on her phone. That's what happens when you're married to a disabled person. You get way too used to hospital. You don't care. So the doctor comes over, Claudia explains, this is her condition, this is probably what's happening, but we're not sure. I've tried to bring this people, and this people. Also, she's deaf, and she appears to be in such bad pain that she can't open her eyes. So she's not going to understand what you're saying. The doctor, who I think is like a young, I'm going to say she was about 24, 25. I don't remember so clearly, but Claudia has told me this. So she's just a bit younger than us, not hugely. And she looks at me and she obviously disregards everything Claudia has just said, because no. And she starts talking to me. Okay. She starts telling me to open my eyes, that she knows I can open my eyes, that I'm totally fine. Come on, the pain's not that bad. Don't make a big deal out of it. I'm sorry, what? And again, telling me this, eyes closed, no clue what's going on. No clue what is going on. She starts getting really annoyed with me that I won't open my eyes and look at her and that I'm not responding when she talks to me. Again, Claudia's there like, deaf. She's deaf. She can't hear you. She's not going to respond to you. Okay. And the doctor's like, well, can't you just tell her then? No, because I'm not magic. I mean, I don't think she said that, but she definitely should have said that. I cannot talk to her right now. I can try and communicate with her, but she's not necessarily going to understand. She's also in such bad pain that I'm not sure she can comprehend what's going on right now. But I'm lying there. The doctor keeps trying and trying and trying, and she's getting really, really frustrated. So Claudia keeps trying to communicate with me instead. She eventually gets me to open my eyes, which I can just, because the pain is so bad. I will force myself through this pain. What is it, wife? What do you need to tell me? What's so important that I've got to keep going through this pain to look at you? And she's like, yeah, I'm really sorry, but the doctor, she just wants to talk to you about something. Like, okay, no, I get it. You've got to like explain your symptoms. Yeah, I've got to explain them. Okay. So I'm trying to explain, trying to tell her about the pain, how bad it is. She's asking me questions. I'm like, I cannot comprehend what you're saying right now, okay? The pain is so bad. You have to sign at me, or I can't lip read right now. A, you're super far away from me. B, the pain is so bad I can't look in one place and just concentrate on what's happening. And C, you're just not the nicest person. Okay, I'm not going to say lip reading is easier when someone is nice to you, but so Claudia tries to translate what the doctor is saying to me, and eventually the doctor kind of works out that we think I've got kidney stones. Well, we're like, here are all the symptoms. And she goes, oh, so it sounds like you think you have kidney stones. And I'm like, well, I guess that would make sense, yes. I should add here that Claudia comes from a medical family. Her father's a doctor, her mother's a doctor. Her father's a doctor, her sister's a doctor, her mother was a nurse. Claudia herself is a dentist who also has a degree in anatomy. She knows shiz about bodies, okay? She knows what she's talking about. She's like, yes, actually that does seem to make sense and correlate. She thinks back over what's been happening recently. Yeah, no, I really think that is kidney stones, yeah. And the doctor's like, no. You definitely don't have kidney stones. I've seen grown men crawling in on here on their hands and knees with the pain from kidney stones. You're fine. Pain is a very subjective thing. I'm not sure how you can measure my pain against someone else's pain. Also, and Claudia tries to point this out to her, not only do I take incredibly strong painkiller medication every single day, it's part of my prescription, my medication actually partially stops the pain synapses in my brain from firing. It's not possible for me to feel all of the pain that my body is currently experiencing. Also, I have a very high threshold for pain. All right, an example, I tore the ligament in my left foot when I was 15. It swelled up to the size of a football and was black. However, because my family and I were on a tour of Tuscany at the time, I decided it would be a great idea to walk on it around the beautiful city of Siena. So Claudia tries to explain to this woman that my pain threshold is very high, that I take these medications, that I'm not always, that part of my disability is also that I cannot, that I don't always understand what signals my nerves are giving me. So my nerves, I can have a massive bruise and it won't hurt me. You can prod it, you can touch it, it won't hurt me because those nerves in that area of my body just aren't, they just won't send pain signals, they just don't. And the doctor still does not believe me. So she proceeds to give me the longest and rudest talking down about how I have come in and wasted time that could be used by someone who actually is in need, could be used by someone for whom her skills could really be life-saving, because I am just a waste of resources. Okay then. Great. So she refuses to give me any more painkillers and just discharges me. Just discharges me. Sends me home. So we have to get a taxi. Even though I can't actually stand upright, Claudia has to come like drag me out of A&E. Not the first time I've been mistakenly dragged out of A&E. Put in the back of the taxi, we go home, and what happens the next day? I passed a kidney stone. Oh well. In retrospect, I should have sent her a card to tell her that. With the kidney stone in it. But that would have been weird, right? I hope you've enjoyed this little medical mystery story time. Now back to Ricky.
Thank you, Jessica, for sharing your story. Now, for me. So on October 30th, 2014, I was in a car wreck. I was supposed to go meet with my friend Whitney for dinner, and on the way there, somebody smacked into me. I passed this kid who was kind of on the road beside of a cemetery, and he was just sitting there, and he backs up suddenly, like really, really fast. Not like, oh, I'm gonna roll back a little bit because I don't want to hit people. It was, I'm going at the speed of light, and it's weird. And all I could think was, please do not come my way. I was stopped on the road because somebody needed to make a turn and there was traffic coming, you know, the opposite way. So we had to wait. Long story short, this kid smacks into me, damages my truck, my big truck. He has a little car and I have a big truck, and then the bed was smushed down this way and then also like smushed up this way in two different spots. It's awful. I had like back pain, head pain, basically everything I've already had for all these years, but amplified. And originally I said I didn't want to go to the hospital because I didn't want to deal with insurance, but they're like, insurance will pay for it, blah blah blah. And I knew I was gonna sue this kid because he was high on drugs when he crashed into me. I knew it. The paramedics that came to us were very, very kind, and the police officer that was there, I told them, hi, I'm deaf, I don't hear it very well. I mean, I can hear that you're talking to me, but I have no idea what you're telling me right now because it's not loud enough. So, you know, can you please be patient with me, write things down and stuff like that. Very, very kind people. And I went into the ambulance. They put me on a stretcher thing, and they had wrapped towels on my head because they were afraid I had a concussion or whatever, or maybe that's just standard that they do anyway. But then they had the towels on my ears, which makes me hear absolutely nothing. And then they wrapped it, you know, they stuck it together with some tape, and we were on our way. And they would ask me questions, and they would like point. So if they needed my birthday, they would have the form and they would point to birthday, and then I would tell them, you know, stuff like that, any allergies, you know. So that was awesome. If you're a paramedic, take note. You don't have to know sign language, you don't even have to write it down. If it's on the paper, just point. So I get to the hospital and I'm in the waiting room, and this is just where all hell broke loose. It's really a lot of the same thing over and over. I told the nurse, she was talking to me, and I'm like, hi, I wouldn't be able to hear and understand you very well if I was here without this contraption around my head, but now I really cannot hear you at all. So, like, please write it down, point to something very simple, instructions, request, and I was being very polite. But they did not want to accommodate. And this isn't like me going to a random stranger and asking for directions and them not accommodating me. That's one thing entirely, and while I might be upset that they're not willing to accommodate that and they like run away because they think I have the plague, that is completely different to something like a hospital whose job is to take care of me and is under ADA law and needs to accommodate because the law says so. So they would just look at me and then walk off, and they would just keep on talking and talking, and this went on for about an hour. I was at this hospital for like an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Eventually it got to a point right before when my friend came over because I told her what happened, and I yelled at them. I'm someone that will give somebody about 3 chances to do some sort of accommodation before I get very, very angry. Like the first time I'm very nice, the second time I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna be nice, but I'm also gonna be like, come on now, this is a hospital. The third time I'm gonna get mad, and then the fourth time I'm gonna get really, really upset. So it got to the point where I literally yelled, and insulting words may have been thrown around, and I told them, can you imagine if you gave me something that I'm allergic to and killed me? I'm like, I need you to write things down or point or do anything visual to help me out because I am trying to get you to do your job accurately as well as easily as possible. And that's something I don't think people seem to understand. When deaf people ask you to write or point to things, it's not to make things harder for you, it's to make things easier for both of us, because nobody wants to repeat themselves 5 times and nobody wants to misunderstand something 5 times, especially in an environment like a hospital. So that happened, and I'm just sitting here like, if I give you the wrong answer, something bad could happen. So finally it worked out. They finally wrote for me. And then I get to the actual doctor's room, and this is when my friend was here, so she was going to help me out because the doctor sure wasn't. Actually, I had a second nurse that came around, and he was actually very, very nice. This was when I got to the room. But then the doctor comes, the main official doctor. Went through the whole spiel. Hi, Deaf, please write, point, you know. We're gonna meet halfway here. I will talk to you. You write to me or something, make things easier, you know? Nope. Oh no. Oh no. Not only that, but this is someone who would literally turn around every time he's talking. So his back is completely like facing me and I'm just going, no. It's one thing if I can't understand you when you're talking when you're like facing me, but it's another if you're turning your back every single time. And I was just like, excuse me, I need you to look at me. And then eventually we both were just like, yo, Deaf, hey, turn back this way, please. That's my hospital horror story, and that is a horror story for so many other deaf and hard of hearing people. There have been deaf pregnant mothers who have sued hospitals in Miami because they're terrible. Please, hospitals, for the love of all things holy, accommodation is great and actually makes things easier, especially in an environment where if anything happens, if anything bad happens, the end result is probably going to be bad. So yeah, if you have any hospital horror stories that you want to share, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Thank you so much, Jessica, for telling your story, and make sure to check out her channel. I have it in a card, and I'll have a description down in the info box below. If you want to follow me on my social media, I have my usernames down here. If you want to send a letter or anything, I have my P.O. box right up there. Patreon and last video over there, and coffee, a jar, tip jar down there below in the info box and comment. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.